Okay, we're going here and looking at what I call my 3 generations of P226s. We do have a German edition here. Early 90s is when this came out, or when that one specifically came out. It's not the 86 version, or the 80s version, because that would have actually said West German, but there's nothing really difference between the West German and the German. We have this one, which I bought about 15 years ago. I want something a little punchier, and you'll notice this one does say 40 cal on it. I did buy this new. It's not like a law enforcement trade-in like you can find around today. And then, of course, we have the Cadillac, which is the P226 Legion. Fantastic gun. And we'll get to the benefits of those here in a bit. So we'll start with the German here. The major difference you'll run into on the German versus at least these two guns is right off the bat, it has a V cut right here in the slide, which the other two do not have. They are smooth versus this little V. Doesn't really change anything, but it is a difference. And you'll notice the sights. I call these the eye sights. I'm sure there's an official real name for those, but that's what I call them, the eye sights, because they look, you dot the eye. They're adequate. They do decent. But they're not fantastic. I should say, this is safe. This is safe. And this is safe. All right. So the 226 comes with, your decocker, which safely decocks the gun, your slide lock, your takedown lever, which you just pull that lever down and the slide pops right off. It's real simple. This one does have the original plastic grips, which at the time when I picked it up, it was a very comfortable gun. I really liked it. And it sat well. I didn't learn until much later the difference in grips that different guns can have. And I will say that the Legion spoiled me on grips. So after a while, I got a little tired of the plastic, hard plastic. So I just kind of retired this gun to the side. I don't shoot it very often anymore. It's become more of a safe queen than it is a regular shooting gun. But I kind of like the piece of history that is a German Sig. It does have some differences, and I will warn people who decide they want to look at a German Sig over an American Sig, which these both are. And we'll get to that here in a second. Other than that, 15+1 magazine. Pretty standard for all these, except for the 40, of course. So that's that. That's the German Sig. Now the 40, which you might guess, is my house versus personal defense gun. I really like the 40. I went in because I decided I wanted something that shot a little zippier than the 9mm. I'd been a 9mm shooter most of my life. Want something a little better. So I picked up the 40. I absolutely love the 40. I know 9mm's king in this day and age, and there's a lot of reasons why you should run the 9mm. In my opinion, in all the ballistic tests I've ever seen, the 40 just, by a very small margin, edges out the 9mm. And people will say, well, yeah, but the 9mm gives you better capacity. And that is true. In the standard configuration, this one gives you 12 rounds on a Sig mag. This one, or that one, will give you 15 rounds plus 1. 12 plus 1, 15 plus 1. If you get the Mekgar magazines, which I highly recommend, I love the Mekgar mags. They're very smooth. They run really well. The Mekgar 40 runs 13 rounds instead of 12. And this is where the argument comes in, capacity over ballistics. The Mekgar 9mm runs 18 rounds. 5 rounds difference. That's a huge difference. But I've seen in most things they will talk about in confrontations, you don't really fire that many rounds. So I'll take the extra little bit of punch the 40 gives me for defense over the extra rounds, which if I'm in a protracted gunfight, let's face it, I'm in trouble anyways. This one, you might guess, came originally with the E2 grip. I went from the E2 grip to the Hogue rubber wraparound grips, which I ran on this for almost a decade. But they were getting a little annoying, and they were wide, and I decided I wanted something different. And at that time, I'd started messing with the Legions, and I really liked the Legion grips, as you may guess. So I bought the Piranha G10 grips for this, and they're pretty decent. I don't know that I particularly like the flared magwell. I'm just not that kind of person. But I may eventually, being a Legion member, I can actually buy the Legion grips. I may eventually buy them for this. So that is something I may eventually do. This is a Foxtrot 1X. It's a good light. I quite enjoy that light. It wasn't very expensive. And it's quite bright. It works quite well. So I put it on here, again, because of my personal defense. I don't really conceal carry this one. If I want to conceal carry, I'll carry my P226. I will say I've become a bit of a Sig snob after all this. I have more Sigs than anything else. The 40, I will also say, if you're wanting to buy a gun, you can buy a law enforcement trade-in right now. I've seen anywhere from $430 up to $500. You can buy a barrel, a spring, and a magazine, and convert one of these to 9mm cheaper than you can buy a 9mm 226. Not by much, but it'll save you about $50 to $80 doing it that way. And if you do it that way, you also have a 9mm or a 40. And if you ever want a 357, you can just buy a new barrel, and the 40 you can drop all the 40 barrel out and put the 357 barrel in. Sig. And then you can work that way. Now, some people say you can't do that. I've cycled 9mm through this, just doing the barrel, spring, and magazine conversion. Had no trouble with it. So I would highly recommend, if you're looking to pick up a 9mm, because the 9mm 226s are still fairly expensive. I mean, this one new was $800 or so. The German was $500 used. They are much higher in price now. Nowadays, when you pick up a German, you're probably looking at $700 to $900. And of course, the Legions are anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500. So, and then there's models above this one. This one's just the standard Legion. So let's go over to the Legion a little bit after this. So I bought a 226 and or 220 Legion. I got a good deal on it, so it was my first Legion. I didn't really care for 45. I know some people say 45 is the god round. You know, everybody bow down to the 45. I've shot 9mm and 40 most of my life. I was quite happy with staying in that range. So I decided to pick up the 226 Legion 9mm. And the big differences you see in this one are Legion, you might say. There is the dot capable, of course. There is the front serrations here for, being able to rack it at the front. The dovetail is a little bigger. Gives you a much better hold when you're holding it. It's a very good grip on this gun. These G10 grips, Legion grips, are just amazing, straight up. And there's a slight more indentation here for your finger, and that just helps give you a good solid grip. Plus there's some serrations there and right here to give you a little more for your hand. This also has the 3-dot system, which is the same as this one. But whereas these are the night grips, these have the daytime glow ones with the green front and the smaller rears. And these do work quite well. They've kind of spoiled me on that. I really do like those. I may convert mine 40 to that eventually. But there's lots of things I may do to my 40 in the future. Past that, keen Legion owners will spot there is a difference. The slide lock. I did not like the Legion slide lock. On the 220, it worked fine. On the 226, I had terrible times engaging it and disengaging it. It just gave me fits. I did not like it. So I converted it to a standard 226 slide lock, which, as you can see, works quite well. I had to sand the grip a little bit under this corner to make sure it moves freely. Some people don't like it. For me, it works better. I'm happy with it. The gun works better with it. All around, it's just something I quite enjoyed. It was actually the first real serious gun modification I ever did. And I don't even know if you really consider that serious, but it's the first time I ever modified a gun to suit me. Now, getting to the difference between the German and these, when I first pulled out the slide lock, I pulled out the German slide lock to put in my 226 or my Legion here, and it worked fine. That's how I found out it would work. Everybody online said it would work, but that's how I found out it worked. And I was quite happy. I was like, okay, I'll have to adjust the grip. We're good. I put the Legion slide lock back in the German, and it did not work. Something was dragging. The slide wouldn't slide freely. It gave me fits. I was a little surprised. So on the lark, I put the Legion slide lock back in this, and I tried swapping these two gun slide locks. Again, the German slide lock works fine in this one and this one. These slide locks did not work in the German. Both of them, the newer slide locks, did not work in the older German. Something was dragging. It might be something you can easily fix, modify, I don't know. But if you ever had to replace your slide lock for any reason in your old German or West German, that might be an issue. And I don't know what else internally might be slightly different from these guns to this gun to these guns. So that is something of a concern. But I will say, like I said, this gun runs about $1,200 to $1,500 rounds price. It is pricey. It is the softest shooting gun 9mm I have ever shot. It is smooth. It is soft. It just is a joy to shoot. And but the price tag on it is substantial. It's not something I like to throw around easily, so it's not something I just want to beat up every day. It's kind of the range gun. It will go out, and I'll practice my technique with it, even though it's different in 9mm versus 40. But I have to practice with this one too. But this one is kind of the workhorse of the three. The German I don't really want to mess with. It's kind of going to stay the way it is. This is the one I'm willing to mess with because there's still plenty of these out there, and there's tons of aftermarket support and parts for them. And price-wise, they're not too bad. Though if you're going to buy a German, you're going to pay about the price I paid for this 40 now, new. That pretty much concludes the differences between these guns and the modifications done to each one. Again, with the being able to convert to 3 calibers, if you decide you want to buy one, I would buy a used 40 and convert. Or if you want to spend the money, the Legion is fantastic. There's no denying that it's a smooth shooter. My buddy shot it at the range. After I shot it, I grabbed him and said, hey, you got to try this gun. And now he wants a Legion because that's how nice this thing shoots. He's a bit of a gun snob all the way around. He didn't want a Sig at all. Now he's like, I want a Legion now. That thing shoots fantastic. So if you can take the hit on the cash, the Legion is the way to go. Plus you get access to the Legion store when you register it. And that gives you, access to like buying these grips, which are pricey, and buying other Legion parts of the gun. And that's my little review on the 3 generations of Sig. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want something else, drop a comment, and we'll see about getting it. Like and subscribe.